Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are feeling well this morning and didn't stay up too late last night shooting fireworks. But hope you guys are feeling well this morning. I got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for today. I'm expecting a pretty active week in general, at least the rest of the week, as far as severe weather with a big-time upper ridge that is built into the middle to eastern part of the country. And then basically the upper part of the ridge, pieces of energy will ride the boundary and will set up stages and then frequent occurrences of severe weather episodes for portions of the country. And this will affect a pretty large area, especially today. So we're really going to focus in on that severe weather threat for you guys this morning for today. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Appreciate the support. If you guys got anything that I can pray over or pray about, please put in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. I'm definitely this morning asking for an unspoken prayer request for myself, so that would certainly be much appreciated. We're all family here. We all look out for one another. More importantly, we all know that God looks out for us also. So let's get rolling this morning and talk about a couple things. I forgot to pull up my water vapor loop, but in general, we have a upper ridge building across the middle of the country. This is pretty much going to provide a moist flow, and not only that, the surface heating will be pretty bad across areas in the middle of the country. I'm talking about the Quad States region. We'll talk about this too. But let's focus in on the severe weather threat. This is the Storm Prediction Center between right now all the way through the morning hours of tomorrow. This is a huge slight risk extending from Montana literally to portions of North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, including Washington, D.C., Baltimore. In it, you have two areas, two enhanced regions. One's in Montana, and it kind of extending into the Dakotas, kind of like what happened yesterday and a couple of days beforehand. And then you have this area also. So really, the tornado threat is going to be pretty low today, but there is going to be isolated threats of a tornado or two. I think this morning, overnight, there was a kind of a nocturnal tornado in areas in Nebraska. The storm chaser caught it. So, it's totally not going to be a 0% chance. There certainly is going to be a chance. But the wind threats in these enhanced regions, and this might get extended. First of all, you have this 15% chance of seeing damaging winds in this huge yellow area. That is winds pushing 50 knots or higher. That's winds pushing 55 or 60 miles per hour in some of these storms. Then in these red areas, you have a 30% chance to see that same wind criteria. So winds pushing 50 knots or higher, 55, 60 miles per hour. A 30% chance within 25 miles in any given location. So, if you're in these areas, you need to watch out. Also, basically in the same 30% risk area, you also have a 10% risk of seeing significant winds pushing 65 knots or higher. That is 70 to 75 miles per hour. That's pushing hurricane strength winds. And some of these storms, I'm going to try to show you per the HRRR model how this might can unfold today. There is going to be a hail threat, especially over here more westward, where you'll have more of a discrete mode. Some of these storms will get more discrete in nature, meaning they will become isolated, be able to take more advantage of their environment, stronger updraft that will produce a larger hail. So you have not only this 15% chance to see hail 1 inch in diameter or larger, you also have a hatch region, which is a 10% chance inside this 15% chance, not added to it, but inside it. Also a 10% chance in this region, including Rapid City and almost to Billings, Montana, to see hail larger than 2 inch or diameter or larger. So now that we've talked about that, let's get rolling here. First off, I do want to mention heat advisories. Everybody in the orange, big heat dome setting up, and you can see what the boundary is. And you can see where you already have severe weather watches right here in the pink. So you already have basically a cluster of severe storms riding through areas of Montana and the Dakotas right at this moment. In the purple, right in the middle of this heat dome, right where you had the biggest moist flow and the hottest temperatures. You're going to have temperatures pushing over 100 degrees in areas of this whole entire southern half of Missouri. Even if you're not in the purple, this is an excessive heat warning, guys. This is a big deal. Just limit any outdoor activities. It is still going to possibly get over 100 degrees, and the heat index will be pushing 110 in areas this afternoon. Very hot temperatures. These heat advisories extend basically the entire western half of Tennessee, and I'm not going to name every state, but they extend pretty far eastward, not all the way into Georgia, the Carolinas yet, but pretty hot temperatures expected in these areas today. Excessive rainfall outlook. Listen, where this heat dome, basically this upper ridge, is really riding up, pieces of energy are going to be consistently riding the upper boundary of this upper ridge right here. So you're going to have clusters of storms. And not only are they going to be severe, but they are going to be riding over the same areas, riding through the Dakotas, Iowa, the northern areas of the Ohio Valley. Sorry if my voice comes out kind of scratchy, guys. Woke up with a little bit of a sore throat, so my voice cracks like I'm going through puberty or something. I do apologize, but you have a slight risk of flash flooding occurring. And you don't have to be in this slight risk. And what the slight risk means, which is the yellow area, is you got a 15% chance of flash flooding guidance being met in these regions at least. But I will tell you, we had flash flooding here locally in my hometown of Columbia yesterday for the 4th of July. The storm developed off some outflow boundaries and dropped 4.5, 5 inches of rain in certain spots in 1 hour. So even if you're not in the slight risk, the biggest threat area, you could still see flash flooding. So what's driving this is, like I said, the upper ridge. And you see these little wind streams right here with the arrows pointing this way. So that means that all the energy aloft is flowing around the upper base of this ridge of high pressure. So you got pieces of energy that is flying through the upper part of this. So here comes a low pressure right here. This is rounding the upper base. That doesn't make sense. I keep saying upper and then base, but that's kind of offsetting. But anyways, the upper regions, the upper boundary of this trough and this ridge of high pressure. And this continues. Pieces of energy continue to fly across it. This is promoting severe weather, and with intense heating riding all the way up to this energy and big time humidity and surface moisture, you basically have the basically a lot of CAPE, a lot of fuel to the atmosphere to fuel severe weather setup. So let's go on and see how this could potentially unfold today. And I know this is small. Guys, I am working on trying to make, I love weathermodels.com and I love weatherbell.com, but making the screen bigger like some of these other guys doing, I'm trying to figure out a couple things. So I know this is kind of small. So if you got a question about your specific town, city, please let me know in the comments. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. But we'll see how this unfolds today. We're getting into this morning. Here comes that cluster of storms that's already occurring. And the HRR model is not doing a great job initiating these storms. But in general, like I said, down here, Rapid City, down here to even Nebraska, North Platte, you guys, even into northeastern areas of Wyoming, discrete supercells could form. Large hail could be a threat. Damaging winds can be a threat. This will quickly unfold into a windbag situation, meaning it'll turn into a cluster of storms and almost become linear at some point. And the damaging wind threat will be severe across areas of South Dakota later this evening. And then you got, a discrete supercell here in the middle of Montana, north of Billings, Montana. So that's why you have that enhanced risk over here. The dynamics are there for severe weather, but what will the storm covers look like in Montana? If you get hit by one of these storms in Montana, it's going to be significant. So just keep your eye on the radar on the sky out here. But check out how this unfolds. We're getting into, guys, this is getting into midnight, pushing 10, 11 p.m. around midnight. And this is just now getting going. This is what's going to make this dangerous. The enhanced risk is right into here. But Sioux Falls, watch out. Nasty storms begin to rock and roll through this area. And then they start to make its way into southern Minnesota. And they will continue through the overnight hours. This is just one of these clusters of storms that is basically promoting this enhanced risk in this area right here. And that is due to this area of storms right here that will develop later this afternoon and rock through this area. Will it get into Omaha? I think it'll be just north of Omaha, but it can extend into Omaha. So please be careful. Des Moines, a little bit later into the morning, later into the overnight hours, into the morning hours tomorrow, these storms will make their way into the area. And this cluster of storms will continue. And this is getting into tomorrow morning. What you're seeing here is tomorrow morning. But these storms are going to be bad later this evening, maybe by the time the sun goes down. I think they'll be hitting while the sun's setting later this afternoon. Earlier in the day in the South Dakota, northern Nebraska, even all of Nebraska potentially, even maybe all the way into Kansas. These storms will be firing up. But watch out, Pierre, maybe a little bit later this afternoon, this evening. Watertown, as we get a little bit later into the evening hours. But as we switch just to the Ohio Valley, we'll go on and get rolling through this. And let's go on and switch this to the 06Z so we can get a little bit more of a frame. We're going through here. This is Tuesday morning. We're getting into the afternoon hours. Sorry, guys, I had to stop the video real quick. My little girl walked in. But the Ohio Valley, this is what you guys could potentially look like. So we're getting rolling through here. Some storms could fire up in areas of northern Indiana, northern Ohio, Illinois. And as we're rolling through this frame here, and let's see if I can just go on and get this rolling all the way through so I don't have to do my mouse over that, and it's just not working for me. Okay, here we go. So throughout the afternoon hours, we got some big storms popping up. Fort Wayne, watch out, Cleveland, Chicago, a nasty storm affected y'all yesterday. This could be the case again later this afternoon and this evening. And then we're getting more into the 10, 11 p.m. range, right? And these storms that were discrete at first start to develop more into a cluster of storms. This could be a big damaging wind threat. What I'm talking about, this is midnight, 1 a.m. at this point. Still some big storms potentially affecting areas of Fort Wayne. Are they going to try to slide and make it down to Indianapolis? They definitely could. There's going to be different flows aloft, meaning, you know, the storms could be moving directionally over here from west to east. And then in this area, they could be moving from north to south. There's just different wind directions flowing around this ridge of high pressure. And, you know, generally when you get to the northeast upper part of the high pressure, these storms begin to shift from more of a northwest to a southeast flow as they kind of round the base of this high pressure. But in general, let's not focus too much on this. Big storms potentially moving through areas like Columbus just after midnight, and then they're making their way southward into Kentucky. Watch out, Lexington, Kentucky in the middle of the night, potentially big storms as you're getting into tomorrow morning. But this is, you know, getting pretty later. We're going to re-talk about this and revisit this evening and try to get you guys more details of what's going to happen tonight. But of course, there'll be a lot of people going live, and rightfully so, to try to figure this out for you guys. But I know this isn't very clear, but trying to figure out when these storms are going to be the worst, exactly where, is very hard. But in general, expect these storms to really get going in northern Indiana, northern Illinois, northern Ohio later this afternoon, and then they'll try to evolve a little bit further south as you get later into the overnight hours and start affecting areas into the wee hours of the morning in the southern sections of those states that I just mentioned, including Kentucky and West Virginia. And then you start to get into West Virginia and also Virginia. You know, you guys are under a slight risk too. And, you know, you guys could have a cluster of storms that works its way through areas of southwest Pennsylvania, areas of West Virginia a little bit later this morning. And then into the afternoon hours, maybe a storm or two tries to fly through Washington, D.C., Baltimore, with big-time daytime heating occurring. But then what we watch for a little bit later today is these little clusters of storms making their way through. But then we watch what forms behind this into the overnight hours. I'm talking about midnight, 1 a.m. Watch out, Morgantown, Charleston, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, getting into maybe Charlottesville a little bit later overnight. This is starting to get into 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Maybe a rocky morning, and then this will try to make its way all the way into North Carolina as you're waking up tomorrow morning. This is what we'll talk about. Rain, you know, there'll be a lot of rain that will fall too, guys. You know, this is between now and tomorrow morning. Anywhere from a quarter to half an inch, and this little stripe right here, that's why you have that 15% risk of flash flooding occurring. But this area right here could get a lot of rain. This is per the National Weather Service, the experts. Watch out, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, maybe over an inch of rain. Chicago, northern Indiana, into Ohio, southern Michigan will be the epicenter of probably the most rain, as you'll have storms that keep forming over the same areas. But, you know, you could have scattered convection all the way down to the southeast. So, speaking of the southeast, some storms are certainly possible today. In fact, there is a flash flooding risk down here in southern and southeast areas of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, where some tropical downpours will push inland into these regions. Be careful down here. Flash flooding can occur, maybe a severe storm or two. And then your typical daytime downpours developing in Florida that could promote some frequent lightning, heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds. So be careful. And then just a general isolated shower or storm in general in Tennessee, the Carolinas, the deep south in general. So, you know, just daytime convection popping up. South central U.S., pretty much the same kind of deal. Pretty dry in the areas that really need the rain the most. monsoon season still going strong here in the southwest, which is good news. You don't need all the rain at one time, but it's good that y'all are seeing rain when y'all typically do. But the south central U.S. in general, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on. Heating will be pretty bad today. You know, it's going to be very hot, very uncomfortable. Hundreds are expected in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Iowa, and across this entire region is going to get well over 100 degrees. Basically, the further probably east you go, the more high humidity you probably have mixed with these actual air temperatures. So it's going to feel pretty bad. This is the HRRR model trying to figure out how hot it could potentially be in this region right here and pushing, you know, potentially over 110 degrees in certain areas right in here. So be careful today. But it's going to be a pretty active setup going forward, guys. This is for tomorrow. A slight risk up for a large portion of the Carolinas, Virginia, portions of the Mid-South and Ohio valleys, and then more severe weather expected in the northern plains. And then you switch it to day 3, and then it's another day of active storms expected. So this is for Thursday. So there's a lot to talk about as far as severe weather as these Ridge Rider setups become the dominant force in the weather world over the next week. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great Tuesday, and I'll talk to y'all this evening.